Hi and welcome back to Well Read Witch. It is 7:48 in the morning. Today is Sunday. Today is the day I record this video, I edit this video and I post this video. Now, usually what I do is I will record somewhere earlier in the week, but this week was busy and painful, so I could not do that. My hand is still hurting, by the way, but like the pain has sort of plateaued. So, yes, it hurts, but it is a constant hurt. There are no spikes in between there now. So, I don't know whether to count that as a blessing or a curse in itself. I am actually just scared to use the hand now. It's come to that. But yeah, welcome to our July wrap up. I am very pleased with July. July was way too kind to me. I do not know why or what happened or what changed, but I was reading so many more books. In total, I read 8 books, which I know it doesn't sound a lot, but if you consider the fact that January was the only month in the whole year where I had read more than like more than 5 books, and that was like reading 6 books. And even then, I will admit that out of those 6 books, there were a few of them that were very, very short books. So I did not read like 6 full-length novels in January either. But July, even if I read 8 books, I read full-length novels. So I am really, really satisfied. The overall pages that I read in this month were 3,008. And usually, what I do is I'll do like a book reading goal. My book reading goal is 25. My book reading goal for this year is 52 books, like one book for each week. And the pages goal, I usually keep it at around like 10,000 pages. So to have read 3,000 pages, like around 30% out of that 10,000 page goal of the year in a single month, that is very, very cool for me. I am not at all complaining that I did that. Also, this is my morning voice. If it sounds different, once I hit recording, that is literally the only time I've spoken up ever since the morning sort of came to be. Okay, let's just delve right in without wasting too much time. The first book I read was Dance of Thieves by Mary A. Pearson, and I rated this book 3 stars. Dance of Thieves follows the same universe that the Kiss of Deception series was set in, but rather than following the royal line, rather than following the princess, the prince, and the assassin. We are following different set of characters in this novel. But if you are going to read this series, this duology, please keep in mind that there will be some significant spoilers for the first series. So if you have not read the first series, I would not recommend reading it right away, especially if you plan to read it. If you do not want to read the first series, that's fine, you can read it. But there are significant spoilers for the series in this book. So this book directly follows the events of the first series, wherein, like, in a fantasy series, usually things escalate to world collapsing sort of scenarios. So in this series, we are trying to find the person responsible for those world collapsing events. Essentially, we are following one of the Queen's guards, and they're supposed to go in to this very forlorn area on the edge of their own kingdom sort of space. And it's a dual POV book. We follow one of the POV is from the Queen's Guard. The character's name I have forgotten. The other character that we are following essentially lives the place that we are visiting. And his name I remember. His name is Jace. So we follow these two as they sort of merge paths, and the Queen's Guard character realizes that, oh, this is the guy I am supposed to be looking for, and the story sort of delves from there. It was an enjoyable book. I would not say I did not enjoy it, but for what it was built out to be in my head, it did not quite live up to the expectation. So, like, I enjoyed it, but it was not like, a world turning sort of mystery that I could not figure out, or like I could see the third act twists coming. I could see, like, it was a very predictable book otherwise. So I rated this one 3 stars. My rating also sort of reflects the sort of challenge I felt while reading this book. I did not feel challenged. I sort of like when I was reading the first series, the twist was so unique and so well built that I did not, like, nobody had any clue what was happening and who was what. So the twist in the first series was very, very nicely built. So, like, even if you try, you couldn't figure it out, and it was so masterfully done. So that was a challenging read. This one was engaging. This one was enjoyable, but it was not challenging. It was kind of predictable, and that sort of has to go with the times it was published in. And I've read like a lot of fantasy after it. This does not exactly reflect my feelings on the book, but it also sort of reflects my reading experience with the book. The next book I read was Last Summer in the City. Now, in this book, we follow our main guy, Leo, as he's sort of disillusioned from his life. He does not want to work. He wants to spend his days roaming around in Rome and reading books and just sort of going by with life rather than living it. And it's set in the summer of Rome. People sort of come and leave out of his life. It would be very right to say that Leo feels very jaded with his life. Even if he gets a job, he feels the need to lie about what his role is, so that the people around him will feel impressed by his job and what he's doing with his time. And it's a very sort of, it reads as though it is a love letter to Rome and Italy in general, and like how Rome sort of keeps people around, and either you love Rome or you hate her, or either you live with Rome or you leave her. So those sort of feelings, the city almost feels like a character in itself. But I was kind of disappointed by the ending. Like, the more this book sat with me, the more I felt that I maybe ending could have been a bit more different. Maybe something could have changed there, because, like, it was not the life changing book that I was promised it would be, for me at least. So there was a lot of I was expecting a lot out of this book while going into it, and there was a lot of disappointment as a result of it. Maybe if I had picked it up without knowing what the premise was, without knowing, or like without expecting that it would change my life, um, maybe the rating would have been higher. As it stands, it is like, I rated it 3.5 stars. It was enjoyable, it was well written, but I did not see the point of it. But I guess sometimes you do not see the point of stuff, and that is fine. And that is how art is sometimes, and that is how literature is sometimes. It is an Italian classic. If you read this one, it comes with an introduction written by Andrea Asiman. Do not read the introduction first. Read the novel first and then read the introduction. He sort of spoils the novel in the introduction as well. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But like in the introduction, Asaman also like writes that this book has been in and out of print a bunch of times. Whenever it is in print, people talk about it, people hype it, people like this book, but then it's eventually sort of goes out of print, which is sort of disappointing if you consider the scope of Italian literature. But yeah. Even though I've rated it 3.5 stars, I do sort of end up like thinking about it ever the more often. So yeah, we sort of move with Leo as he navigates his life while living in Rome, on pennies essentially. He meets his friends, he has a lover, he spends his days perusing around in Rome. And those are the times when I enjoyed this book the most, when we were seeing Rome from Leo's perspective. What I particularly just did not like about this book was the ending. Like, Sure, it is an ambiguous ending, but it could have been something more. I don't know. I was just not expecting it, and I did not like the way this book ended. The next book, the third book I read, was Immaculate Conception by Ling Huang. I've talked about this book quite a lot on this channel. I've talked about this book quite a lot in this channel. This book follows sort of this dystopian future wherein people have been divided into two factions in the society, and like this division has sort of resulted in like people not being able to access certain aspects of humanity. So, say if you belonged to the fringe category, you won't be able to access art, like any art at all. Like, imagine your life without seeing Van Gogh or like Mona Lisa, or I don't know, I'm just talking about like, these big name artists and like your Rothkos and your um, Jackson Pollocks or like whoever or whatever. Now, imagine that you do not get to interact with art at all. But then you, as the main character, sort of get admitted into this very highbrow art school on a scholarship. And in this art school, you are meant to create art. You're meant to know who inspires your art, but how can you do that if you have had no knowledge of what artists have come before you? How will your work, what happens when you think your work is original, but like there have been a plethora of artists before you who have already created these things and have ruminated on these ideas beforehand? What happens when technology and art sort of merges and you get to experience what collaboration, like an artistic collaboration in the extreme sense, could mean? What happens when you live your entire adult life being in an obsession with your friend, and it almost feels like an elusive relationship that you're always chasing after this friend? What happens when you are trying to convince the world around you that the position you are in the art world is not inherited by the people you've surrounded yourself? It, like, you do have a genuine original thought. What happens when you are desperate for it? And like this book goes to the extreme end of it. I've given it 4.5 stars. I want to change my rating and I will change my rating to 5 stars, because the longer the time has gone on, the more I have found myself thinking about this book, the more I found myself thinking about the ideas of this book. And yeah, this is possibly the best book I've read so far in the year. Nobody or nothing even comes closer. And, like, hats off to Ling Huang to not only tell a story that is character based, and but also to expand on such large scale ideas in like the span of like 400 pages or something. Like, hello, how are you doing this? How? Sorry, excuse me, teach me your ways. Immaculate book, Immaculate Conception. Please go read it if you haven't already. Um, a bit of a content warning: those people who do not like to read about pregnancy and motherhood in their novels, this book will deal with that. It did come off as a surprise to me a bit, but like, I don't know why I did not equate conception with pregnancy, but like, um so keep that in mind before going in. It also deals with a bit of a bit of body horror, but like not exactly horror. um but yeah, great book, man. Like, seriously, this is probably the best book I've read so far in the year. I really want to read Ling Huang's next book, like, or the first book they published, Natural Bodies or Beauty. But I do not want to be over. I want to keep books by them, and I don't want like the catalog to be over. Yeah, so I'm really just rationing their work. So yeah, I really like this author. I hope they come out with something else soon. I know this book came out like this year, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, Ling Huang, you have me salivating for your next work. Unlike Ling Huang, our next author in this July wrap up has plethora of books out. And I am like speed running my way through them. The next book I read was Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This book follows Scarlett and Lucas. And both of them, they are athletes. Scarlett is a diver. Lucas is a swimmer. And we see what happens when Scarlett sort of befriends the person Lucas was dating beforehand, and how Lucas sort of enters in Scarlett's circle, and Scarlett sort of realizes that, oh, Lucas knew that she existed, and how they sort of navigate their relationship going forward. This was my foray back into Ali Hazelwood. I had read the Love Hypothesis. I had loved it, but the speed at which Ali Hazelwood was putting out books, I was not reading at that speed at those points in my life. Like these past 2 or 3 years have been reading wise a bit all over the place. So yeah. So I read the Love Hypothesis, but then so many novels came out from Miss Hazelwood, and I sort of could not keep up with her. So I just stopped reading her catalog entirely. Read Deep End, sort of got hooked into Miss Hazelwood's universe, and now I plan to read everything she's ever written in this year. Like, talk about a 180 switch. My brain just loves doing that. All my reading plans, all my plans to read like these epic fantasies go out the window when I when my brain decides to read Ali Hazelwood. Like, I am enjoying myself. I love her writing. I love her universes. I love the way she's sort of created this mind like Ali Hazelwood universe with her characters. Um, and I just like, wow, no words. Even though this book was enjoyable, even though this book sort of gave me a push into reading more Ali Hazelwood books, I rated it 3.5 because there was nothing I was not expecting out of it. Like, there was no scene that sort of either made me giggle or like, I do feel that my brain sort of works like the way Scarlett's brain does, but at the same time, I was not surprised by anything in this book. So yeah, so I rated it 3.5. Although I would say, I spent like one day, I spent 2 hours researching what the different types of dives were. So maybe this book had more of an impact on me than I initially realized. uh, yeah. So what I am doing now is I am reading a Ali Hazelwood book, and then I am reading something else, and then I am reading another Ali Hazelwood book. I'm just not going back to back with her books right now. So the following in that theme, the next book I read was A Marvellous Light by Freya Marske. This is set in 1800s Regency era sort of time period. It feels like it's set in that time period. It explicitly states that it is set after 10 years after Oscar Wilde's trial. So let me just check. Trial year. Tragedy goes. Okay, so the trial was the case essentially opened on April 26, 1895. So 10 years after that would be 1905, right? So, right? My math is right. I don't know. 1895 plus 10. Yeah, it would be 1905. So at the start of the 20th century, but we are not following our contemporary world. This is a fantasy novel, and we are following two characters. One of them, he can do magic, the other one he can't. Like, one of them belongs to the magical world, the other belongs to the normie world. The story starts with a murder. Like, the first chapter is the murder, and the story starts when the guy who was murdered gets replaced at his job, essentially. So a few weeks have passed between chapter 1 and chapter 2, and this other guy sort of comes and takes the guy who was murdered's job. But like the people who worked with the guy's name is Reggie. The people who worked with the guy, they were like, they are still confused. They do not know that he's been murdered. But like we as readers, we know, because like in the first chapter, it is sort of detailed very explicitly. um the first few chapters are bantery, because like the guy who comes in, Robin, like to take the job, he is like, I'm here, I want to work. And the other guy who used to work with Reggie, Edwin, um is sort of like, okay, who are you? Why are you here? You should not be here. You do not know anything about magic. Why? Who appointed you here? This is clearly some clerical error, which is like hilarious to me. Like, we are dealing with a murder, we are dealing with magical stuff, and we are talking about clerical errors in this book. um, but a story essentially starts when this new guy who has come in to take over the job, Robin, gets sort of coerced one night. And like the people who coerce him, they think that they know that Robin knows something about what Reggie was trying to hide. And they want Robin to figure out what Reggie was trying to hide. So they put a curse on Robin. And that is how the story starts. Once Edwin realizes that Robin's been put under a curse, he tries his level best to break this curse. We follow both of them as they, try and navigate the way this curse has been put, and how Edwin can help Robin break this curse. And we sort of follow the story from there. It delves um, into various aspects of magic. It delves into the relationship that buds between Robin and Edwin, which is exactly why they mention Oscar Wilde's trial. If you know, you know. We also realize that Edwin is not a powerful magician, and then the struggle that sort of comes with accepting that, and like the way his family treats him. So a lot of things go around and about, and we solved the mystery of who murdered Reggie, or like where Reggie is, or what Reggie was doing before he got murdered. And then we see whether Edwin can break Robin's curse or not. And yeah, it's a lovely story. Again, it's one of those predictable books, but it was a lovely, lovely story. They are gay as fuck. I just, yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed reading it. Even though I've rated it 3.5 stars, which I think I should change it to at least 3.75. I find myself thinking about this book way too often. Like, I finished it in the second week of July. Today is 3rd August. And I have found myself thinking about this book, or like the way the magic took place, or I would just like randomly think of things Robin would say to Edwin, or like Edwin would say to Robin. So yeah, that was really, really nice. That experience, being able to think about a book, really need to change my ratings. I will rate this 3.75, and Immaculate Conception goes to 5 stars. The next book we read was Problematic Summer Romance by Miss Hazelwood, and this was the 5-star read of the month, like the highlight of the month. I was giggling the way through. I loved how Maya. Okay, wait. For those not in the know, Not in Love and Problematic Summer Romance, they are sort of a continuation of each other. So, like, Not in Love comes first, Problematic Summer Romance comes second. If you want to read Problematic Summer Romance, it would be ideal if you read Not in Love first. But if you don't want to read, that's fine too. But do know that you will be spoiled for the ending of Not in Love in Problematic Summer Romance. So, yeah, Not in Love follows our characters Ellie and Rue, while the characters we follow in Problematic Summer Romance is Maya and Connor. Maya is Ellie's sister, and Connor is Ellie's best friend. So, like your typical fallen in love with the brother's best friend sort of trope. But this book is set in Italy, and we are in Italy because Ellie and Rue from Not in Love, they are getting married. They have this destination wedding planned. So they've invited their friends over and everything sort of and like it's supposed to be a lavish thing. Like not like 1,000 people are invited, but still the destination weddings are always lavish. So we follow Maya and Connor. We realize that there's a bit of a history between Maya and Connor. Like something happened 10 months ago that sort of put a stop to whatever was developing between these two. And we sort of see Maya be the main problematic part of the summer romance is the fact that Connor thinks that the age gap between Maya and him is too much to be bridged. So he does not want to um, take unfair advantage of Maya or like do anything that would make her uncomfortable. So he does not want to like pursue this relationship at all. Now that would make sense if Maya was like, naive or did not know how the world works. She is a very self-confident, self-assured woman, and and like she is like, Connor, why, what? Sorry, why do you see me as a child? Essentially, like Maya is 23 in this book, so she is basically being like, Connor, why are you seeing me as a child? I am a grown adult woman. So a lot of jokes are cracked at Maya's behest, at Maya's age and stuff. So there's a lot of Gen Z versus millennial vibe going on. There's 100 different things going wrong with Ellie and Rue's wedding. Um, but like, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Maya being like, hello, I am a grown adult woman. I can take my own decisions. Stop patronizing me, you adult ass man. But yeah, is it problematic? Is it summer? Is it romance? Read for yourself and judge the things for yourself. The second last book we read in this month was a literary fiction, Evenings and Weekends by Oisin Mckenna. This book follows a cast of characters. I will say a cast of characters because this cast, the introduction to this cast confused me so much that I had to keep notes. Who is related to whom and why and what is happening? So yeah, I would recommend you doing that as well because it can be a bit overwhelming. Like character A is best friends with character B. Character B's mother lives with character C's mothers and their neighbors, and character C knows character D, and character D is character A's boss. So a lot of interconnectivity sort of thing. But like it is explained that when you come in like a city like London and you are a part of a community, these sort of overlaps sort of always happen. And we are following a few characters through a heat wave in London, and a whale is stuck in Thames. And the woman who is tasked with and the woman or like the biologist or the marinologist who is tasked with ensuring that the whale is deposited back to the ocean, essentially, the internet has decided that she sort of looks like Princess Diana, and so she's known as Princess of Wales, like Whales, Wales. And Princess Diana was Princess of Wales, like Wales, Wales. So yeah, that was funny. The thing with this book is it is meant to be read in like a sitting or two. Do not drag this book out the way I did. Like I would read 10 pages, 20 pages in the morning, then I would read 20, 30 pages in the afternoon, then I would read how much my body would allow me in the evenings. This is not meant to be read in sporadic sittings. This is meant to be read in a single sitting, and I am determined. And like am I stand by this. I will die on this hill. Like, at least in my experience, what my experience was, I did not want to pick this book up. Maybe it was a literary fiction and I really just wanted to read a romance, and that is why my brain did not want to pick it up. Maybe it was such a genre shift from going from fantasy romance to a literary fiction that my brain did not want to actively pursue this book. But I just never was feeling it. But once I forced myself to read, like to actually open my Kindle and read this book, I did not want to put it down. So that is why I am of the belief that you should read this book in a single or at maximum two sittings. Like this book is not meant to be read in sporadic sittings at all. Like if you struggle with literary fiction, especially if you struggle with literary fiction and want to give this book a try, make sure that you find like a 24-hour time period where you can sit and read, and like you will breeze through this book. The prose is engaging, it is addicting, but at the same time, maybe also it could also just be that like literary fiction is no longer my genre. Like it used to be my genre when I hadn't tried fantasy properly, or when I hadn't tried romance properly, or when I hadn't apparently tried horror properly. um, uh, but yeah, once you are reading it, you do not want to put it down. But if you do not feel like reading it, then you might as well DNF it. Like I only forced I only forced myself to continue on reading it because it was a pick for Jacket Wood's book club. Like I've said this in the previous video as well. So like I knew I wanted to read it for that book club, but at the same time, I was not actively curious to go back into the story. And that was where the problem sort of arose for me. And yeah, I rated it 3.5 stars. Maybe it could have been a bit more higher, but like the fact that I was confused in the beginning, and then I really wanted to pick it up and continue on with the story. So yeah, 3.5 stars. The last book we read in this month, in the month of July, was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. July was the month of Miss Hazelwood. I'm also currently reading Miss Hazelwood's novella collection, Load to Love You. So, yeah, this will be Ali Hazelwood's year. If I want it, if I don't want it, it is going to be her year. So, Not in Love, as I already explained, follows the story of Ellie and Rue. Now, Rue works in a very small scale scientific firm, and like she is a scientist, and Ellie sort of works in private equity, and his company basically takes on these scientific research firms and programs into their company, and like sort of provide capital so that the research can go on and go on forth. What his company Harkness is supposed to do. Now Rue does not know that. Rue is sort of best friends with the CEO of her company, and she thinks that like these Harkness people, they are coming to take over her work, and like they are coming to take over the way, like they are coming to take over Florence's entire life's work. But there are a lot of things about Florence that Rue does not know. Not only do we get to see a budding romance between these two people, Ellie and Rue, we also sort of uncover the mystery of Florence and what Florence did to Harkness's owners, or what she is doing to her current employees. Yeah, it is very spicy. Like not in the traditional spicy sense. I was not expecting that at all. I rated it 4.5 stars, but like now I'm talking about it, I want to rate it 5 stars. Not only does this have a epic plot, in my opinion, like corporate espionage is happening, but also like the love confession, it is amazing. Fuck it. I am changing my rating to 5 stars. Me recording this video is essentially just me just changing all my ratings. Like, what am I doing? Uh, so those are the 8 books I read in July. I read 2 fantasy books, which were Dance of Thieves and A Marvellous Light. I read 2 literary fiction books, which were Last Summer in the City and Evenings and Weekends. Read 1 horror/sci-fi because I think that sort of covers the genres of Immaculate Conception. Then we read 3 romances: Deep End, Problematic Summer Romance, and Not in Love all by Miss Hazelwood. Yeah, that is it for this video. Next week, I think I will do an April TBR. April. Oh, August TBR, and we will try to see whether we can actually stick to the said TBR at all. It is 8:29 in the morning. I have been sipping my coffee throughout this video, but like there's still a lot of left. I will leave you now. Have a lovely Sunday. I hope Charles can win this race. Okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes and talk about Charles now. I know nobody's going to stick around. Hello, Mr. Leclerc. What a lap? Where did that come from? I know you don't know either. Like, how has he put it on pole in Hungary? One of his weakest, or like by his own admission, worst tracks. I was screaming in my room yesterday. I was literally screaming in my room. So yeah, I hope we get a win today. I really hope we get a win today. A Charles Leclerc win in Formula One would heal the world, would heal me, would heal probably the entirety of Ferrari team with the year they are having. I mean, like, what? Like, Charles went into the press conference and said, like, he does not know where that lap came from. He does not understand motorsport today. And I'm like, bro, same. Oh, today's Friendship Day. I forgot the first Sunday of August in India is celebrated as Friendship Day. Happy Friendship Day to all my friends. Have a lovely, lovely day. Thank you. If you stayed for my Charles Leclerc gushing part of the video, you are a real one. Thank you for staying. Bye bye.